Atlantic magazine has new reporting that claims former President Trump praised the control Hitler had over his military. According to the magazine, Trump at one point or another said, and I quote, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had, people who were totally loyal to him, that follow orders."
He commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too. And of course, if you know history, again, I think he's lacking in that. But if you know what Hitler was all about, it'd be pretty hard to make an argument that he did anything good.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Trump says he wants generals like Hitler had. Think about that for a second. The man who once held the highest office in the land, the so-called leader of the free world, has openly admired the very generals who helped one of the most brutal dictators in history commit mass atrocities.
His own top aide, a military veteran and harsh right-wing super conservative, that's a fair description of John Kelly, is yoking Donald Trump to Hitler.
The generals who executed Hitler's orders with ruthless efficiency, responsible for war crimes and the murder of millions, are the kind of military leaders Trump's want by his side.
He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
What does that tell us about his vision for America? This isn't just some offhand comment. It's a window into the terrifying ambitions of a man who has made no secret of his admiration for authoritarianism.
So why do you want to vote for someone who thinks, quote, Hitler did some good things?
So, look, let's be fair. Those comments are not helpful, obviously, with the last couple weeks, but they're extreme. I mean, this is a time when folks are going to say extreme things. I have all the respect in the world for John Kelly. Half the country doesn't think they're voting for a fascist.
Do you actually think that having positive things to say about Hitler or dining with Holocaust deniers is anti-Semitic?
Yeah, look. If you're going to compare Donald Trump to Hitler, who murdered 6 million Jews, I mean, that's a completely ridiculous comparison.
He's also from a world where his company is huge, but it's a family company. Mm-hmm. So when he asks Eric or somebody to do something, they do it. It's not even publicly traded. He doesn't have board members. All of a sudden, now he's like, do this. What do you mean you can't do it? Do this. What do you mean you can't do it? Right. What do you mean I'm not allowed to do it? And after a while being investigated, there were probably times where he topped off. Wouldn't it be great if generals actually listened? Right. Can you imagine if some people listened to the commander-in-chief? I could absolutely see that happening.
What is the context where this was even raised? Do you know?
Yeah, from the piece, it was Trump saying, I wish I had military leaders who did more of what I said and could execute like these guys.
Okay. But I need more context. What was the beef that Trump was talking about, that the generals let him down? We have none of that. And I'll submit to you that Trump makes offhand comments all the time. All right, but they don't mean anything, and he doesn't even remember them 30 seconds later.
This isn't just rhetoric. We've already seen what Trump is capable of, and we've already seen what happens when his cronies are given the reins of power. Take Stephen Miller, for example, the architect of some of the most inhumane immigration policies in modern history. Under his direction, the United States government ripped children from their parents' arms at the border, some of them still nursing. Babies and toddlers terrified, crying out for their families, only to be locked in cages. And while Trump and his administration tried to blame Obama for building them, those cages, let's be clear, under Trump, those cages became tools of cruelty used to inflict maximum pain. And the horrors didn't stop there. Families were separated, some never to be reunited, because this administration didn't bother to keep track of who these children belonged to. Records were lost, parents were deported without their kids, and the government shrugged its shoulders. This wasn't just a bureaucratic failure. This was cruelty by design. It was meant to send a message. You're not welcome here, and we'll do whatever it takes to make you suffer. This is the America that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller built, and now they're laying out plans to take it even further. With Project 2025, they're resurrecting some of the darkest elements of human history, like the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a relic of the time when fear and suspicion ruled. Under this contract, entire communities could be targeted, labeled as enemies of the state, simply because of where they came from or what they look like. It's not hard to see where this is going. Mass deportations, internment camps, and the erosion of basic human rights.
He's not just talking about a handful of his political opponents. He's really talking about a broad swath of people. He's talking about any woman who wants to have an abortion or the doctors who might provide it. He's talking about immigrants vowing to launch the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, and even legal immigrants who Trump would denaturalize and deport to countries they barely know. He's talking about members of the LGBTQ plus community, like transgender Americans, running on rolling back their rights. He's talking about people who used to work for him, who dared to disagree with him, some of whom he has insinuated at times deserve execution.
Does that sound like the America that we want to live in? Because we've been here before. During World War II, this country rounded up Japanese Americans, innocent men, women, and children, and locked them in internment camps because we labeled them as enemies. Now, Trump wants to bring that same logic back, but this time it's aimed at immigrants, refugees, and anyone who doesn't fit into his narrow, dangerous vision of what America should look like. And let's not forget the family separation crisis that Trump orchestrated at the border. Thousands of children were taken from their parents, many to never be reunited, because the administration failed to keep proper records. Can you imagine the trauma those children endured? The fear and confusion of being ripped from the only source of comfort that they've ever known. And this administration didn't just allow it, they planned it. This was the brainchild of Stephen Miller, who believed that cruelty was the point, that inflicting as much pain as possible would serve as a deterrent to anyone else considering seeking refuge in the United States of America. This is the future that Donald Trump wants to bring back, a future where human beings are treated like cattle, where families are torn apart, and where basic rights are trampled on in the name of national security. And now, with Project 2025, he's laying out a roadmap to make that future a reality. The most terrifying part? It's all there in black and white. Project 2025 spells out how Trump and his allies plan to dismantle the protections that safeguard our democracy. They want to replace independent federal workers with loyalists who will do Trump's bidding, no questions asked. They want to gut immigration protections, escalate deportations, and build more detention centers, internment camps by another name, where people can be held indefinitely. They want to eliminate asylum pathways and make it easier to label entire groups of people as enemies of the state. This isn't fantasy. This is happening right now, and we're teetering on the edge of something truly dark. We've seen this before, in the internment camps of World War II, in the family separations at the border, in the ruthless crackdowns on dissent that happen in authoritarian regimes. And if Trump gets his way, it's going to happen here again. Only this time, it will be much worse. Do you really think that Donald Trump will stop at immigrants? When he talks about needing the kind of generals that Hitler had, he's talking about military leaders who won't hesitate to turn their guns on their own citizens. What happens when those same generals are asked to deal with political opponents, with protesters, with anyone who dares to stand in Donald Trump's way? We've already seen glimpses of this. Trump ordered federal agents to tear gas peaceful protesters so that he could have a photo op in front of a church. He's called for violence against his critics, encouraged his supporters to attack journalists, and stoked the flames of division at every turn. And now, with Project 2025, he's setting the stage for something far more sinister. And while Donald Trump stages phony photo ops at McDonald's, pretending to connect with the common man, the truth is clear. He doesn't care about the people who work hard in this country. This is a man who lives in a golden tower, who spends his time on golf courses and in luxury resorts. But he knows the power of manipulation. Just like Mussolini posed shirtless, pretending to be a man of the people, Trump pulls stunts at fast food chains to distract from the real damage that he's doing. He doesn't understand the struggles of working Americans. He mocks them with every burger that he hands out, every staged photo op, every phony display of relatability. Trump wants loyalty, not accountability. And under Project 2025, loyalty will be one of the currencies that matters. He's not just reshaping the federal government. He's stacking it with people who will follow his every command, no matter how illegal, how unethical, or how dangerous. This is how dictatorships are born, when the rule of law is replaced by the rule of one man. So what happens next? What happens when federal agencies are turned into tools of oppression? When immigrants are rounded up and detained in mass? When protesters and political opponents are silenced with the full force of the state behind it? What happens when FEMA, the agency that protects us in times of natural disaster, is gutted, leaving us vulnerable to the next big catastrophe? It's all there in Project 2025, a blueprint for authoritarian control disguised as conservative reform. This is Trump's vision for America, a country where the strong prey on the weak, where the powerful crush the powerless, and where the loyalty to Trump is the only thing that matters. And let me ask you this. Is this the America that we want to live in? Because time is running out. We've got 2 weeks to stop this. We need to sound the alarm. We need to educate voters, and we need to fight back before it's too late. Otherwise, Donald Trump's vision will become our reality. And once that happens, there may be no turning back. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.